Three Grots in a Vox is intended for a mature audience. This means there will be crude language and discussions of adult themes, especially if we're talking about tactical marines or Gabriel Seth. Viewer discretion is not only advised but encouraged. All opinions are our own and often given for humorous purposes. Any advice is given largely for entertainment purposes and would probably be ignored. But if you do learn something useful, count it as a win.
Right, okay, welcome to the Three Grots in a Vox podcast. We are once again joined by Mephiston, the Lord of Death, Mark himself, who's back from his holidays, tireder,
good
but a little wiser.
No, not wiser at all.
Poorer.
Yeah, all right, that's fair.
And today, because I make a podcast with two whiny bitches, we're doing an episode with no plan.
Thanks for introducing me, but I appreciate that.
I was wondering if you'd get to that. Okay, so I get introduced and John gets ignored. All right, okay.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, well, I wasn't going to... What else there was to say? We used to call him the Blood Angels Commander. Now we're calling him the Salty Man. I've made him a new logo, but I bet he doesn't use it. We'll talk about that later on. I was going to replace his logo completely with just a salt pot.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve any stars anymore.
So the Templars are obviously
heart disease, the channel. The
Templars are obviously famous from being a religious warrior organisation who went out into the desert and fought people a lot. And you know what you get if you take water out into the desert? It evaporates and leaves salt behind.
Fuck off.
You're just a salty fucker, John.
Apparently,
you're just a salty residue. That's all you are. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, we've got an episode coming up where we're going to talk about the strengths of Blood Angels, right?
We are. We're going to do an episode where we're going to talk about how we think you can make the very best episode. The very best. Yeah, don't listen to us on episodes. Shit, no. Find someone competent. Allspecs always seems to have a plan. He wouldn't let this just ramble on with bollocks, would he? Oh, now, this is going to upset some people.
Probably a bad thing, though.
And Mark's going to tell me off now because I'm going to get political for a moment.
Okay, all right, here we go. This should be funny. This
is my beer for the night.
No, I'm fine with fuck Putin. Yeah, cool. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Novichok-free ale.
It actually says on it, fuck Putin.
Yeah.
No, it said bollocks to Putin. Let's be accurate here.
So this is the brewery that I get a lot of my beer from. And yeah, I've been sent a bottle of bollocks to Putin. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to drink that on stream.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I really thought
with that.
Yeah. I mean, let's not get into the war, but what
don't mention the war.
Yeah, not going to talk about the war.
Yeah, but
not going to talk about it. It's not something worth talking about. But I do think the beer was funny.
Okay. So how are you then, John?
I mean, I'm in a rough place. I sent this photo. Sent a photo to the guy. Obviously, I'm friends with Plastic Crackheads. I don't really play on their channel, but I sent a photo to them with this book and me trying to pull like the most ridiculous, like unhappy face I could ever pull.
John, put that prime in picture so everybody can see exactly what it is just from the image. There we go. That is Codex Black Templars there being held up by the Blood Angels.
So you heard it here first. It's no longer the Blood Angels Commander.
It is the Blood Angels Commander.
Because
it's the Blood Angels Commander.
Salty.
Sorry, we're interrupting you. Please continue.
The Blood Angels Commander is going to be playing a successor chapter known as the Templars of Blood. There's a Wikipedia article about the Templars of Blood, and they
are the Knights of Blood, who are heretical as fuck, and they were so hardcore that even Seth went, "You're too fucking insane for me." Sorry, I hope Khorne kills you all.
There is the Knights of Blood, but I believe they got wiped out in Devastation of Baal, if memory serves.
I did read somewhere that they got reformed with Primaris or whatever, and
maybe okay, but yeah, they were basically wiped out.
Yeah.
So Templars of Blood are a loyalist chapter of Space Marines. There's a successor to the Blood Angels, but I guess they are also Templars. So we're going to take all the juicy things out of this book. And honestly, dudes, if you haven't read this book, it is so juicy.
I do have the book. I've bought the Black Templars book because you know what I'm like. I've got fucking all of them.
You've got every codex, yes?
Not quite. I don't have the Death Guard codex.
Okay.
Because they're too gruesome. I don't like them.
I haven't, and I'm not interested because I'm a Blood Angels
What else
purist.
am I have?
Absolutely.
I don't have the Death Watch Codex because
Look at me.
actually, why haven't got that
I
one
even
yet?
got a special little coaster made up out of some slate that a mate did a laser etching for me. That's my
that's
drinks
very
coaster now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
Well-
this weekend I could play Black Templars. I've got the book, but I'm going to play Blood Angels.
Well, you are a
because
real man.
I'm not a bitch.
Okay. I mean, I deserve it. But
Do you though? Do you though? I mean, we shouldn't gatekeep the hobby. You keep
Well,
you're allowed to
gatekeeping the
hobby
hobby.
and play whatever way you want to play. Whatever's
You
enjoyable
absolutely
to
can. But if you run a channel called the Blood Angels Commander, people, you know,
Yeah, well, I'm still
generally
going to
look
make.
for
I'm still
blood
going to.
drop, sanguinary guard, vampire shit, not the sparkly kind. They can
Yeah.
fuck off.
All right,
And I-
okay.
I'll-
So why Black Templars?
Why Black Templars? I mean, I had a conversation with Gav, and I don't know if you guys know Gav, but he just won a GT. I think he won actually 2 GTs in the last 3 months or something.
Did you play him recently on Plastic Crackheads before I went on holiday?
I played him on Blood Angels Commander. He played Admech when just after the Admech Codex came out, and he wrecked me.
He was that guy. Yeah.
But Gav wins
Not
GTs.
that guy, but that guy.
Yeah. I know what you mean. At the tournament that I got to the top table, I think Gav actually finished third because he'd scored really well. So he went 4-1 or whatnot. He's a really solid player.
That's one instance for when I got to the top table and for the Discord for all you people.
Oh yeah, people like to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a drinking game, isn't it?
You guys are the worst. You know that. You're not really, but yeah. So anyway. Gav basically said to me, he's like, you should be playing Black Templars. I think you would do really well with them. And I was like, but I've got my Blood Angels channel and I like the Blood Angels, but over the last... I think it's been difficult since, like, even the Sisters book had some crazy shit in it, right? When you got those Sisters with their Artificer Stormbolters able to do 6 mortal wounds every turn on an 80-point model for 1 CP or something, and it was almost 6 guaranteed mortal wounds, because it was like, you get like 20-something shots and every 6 was 2 mortal wounds or something, right? So even when the Sisters book came out, which Sisters came out about a year ago at this point probably, I was thinking like, wow, these new codexes really feel like 9th edition codexes. Whereas like a lot of people have said the Blood Angels codex really felt like an 8.5. And I suppose in a certain extent, Necrons came out after us, right? And they got tons
not
of...
really. It was
Necrons came out a few months before, but then they got that balance update to give them core on like half the stuff that didn't have it.
Yeah, and even since then, Necrons have had loads of points drops. And Necrons are apparently like 5 or 6% higher win rate than us. So for whatever reason, and I don't know, the Blood Angels are being neglected this edition by the rules team. I don't think we're nearly as strong as we were at the beginning, which is fine, but the tournament results now are telling us that like a mid 30% win rate is where Blood Angels sit right now. And there was something else to say about that. Yeah,
I've got something to say about win rates, but we'll come back to it later.
The last thing I want to say is like it's actually got so bad in this last few months that like I don't know if you saw the thing. A guy actually made like his own community balance slate, and there's rumors that like people are saying like maybe we need another organization like ITC to do the balance because Games Workshop they're not doing it well enough. And I guess at some point it gets frustrating for people like me. And I know there's other parts of the hobby. There's the painting, which I enjoy doing. Lore, I occasionally read books, but I'm not huge into lore. So
I once read a book.
Sorry.
Spot went to the market.
Tickle me.
Spot found a big red ball.
yeah, do you know what? I read enough kids'
Spot
book.
run.
Big
Red ball.
I was going to say I can probably do you green eggs and ham off the top of my head actually, but because I've read it to my daughter about 50 times in the last 2 weeks. But yeah, I only occasionally read 40k books like novels and stuff.
Okay.
So the main thing that I enjoy, the thing I enjoy most every week is playing that one game a week I get to play, and it needs to be competitive, and I need to feel like I have a chance of winning the game. And over the last sort of like 2 months, the amount of games that I'm just turning up
That
for,
is your itch that needs scratching.
and I'm like, I'm actually in a point where like I just don't actually even want to play Tau. Like we can't, like my army can't beat them. I mean, unless you want to base your win rate on dice rolls, and because I'm a competitive player like that, I don't want to win a game. If you get good dice rolls, you get good dice rolls, right? But you can't turn up to a game and be like, I'm hoping the dice are going to be good for me today. It's ridiculous. So yeah,
you can hope it, but you can't base a strategy on it, can you?
No. So I mean, take it from what you will. The Black Templars Codex feels like a 9th edition codex. They have some crazy shit in there that I would love the Blood Angels to have, don't get me wrong. And I mean, the second they figure out how... I'm not going to stop playing Blood Angels, but I'm going to play the odd game of Black Templars, just because if I'm going to a GT this year, I'm not going to a GT with a 30% win rate army. I pay my money the same as everybody else. Why am I making it twice as difficult for myself when we're up against armies that have 70% win rates at the moment with some of the armies, It's crazy.
Yeah,
so judge me if you want, I guess.
No, I'm not going to judge.
Although we're going to judge. We're judging away.
I'm going to say, hot take, win rates and those percentages mean almost complete dick.
Yeah, I'm with Mark. I think they're worthless and pointless.
And the reason for that is because
I think it's detrimental to the hobby.
I'll come aside with that one. So you're saying this Blood Angels have got a 30% recorded win rate, which is fine and dandy, and you can that comes from people who are playing Blood Angels in a competitive setting and recording it on BCP and all this sort of jazz, which is fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
That means that the people playing Blood Angels are recording a 30% rate. If everybody was playing them, or a lot more top players who are more skilled at playing the game were playing Blood Angels, that win rate would be higher. But they're not, because other armies are easier to win with and have less of a handicap with them. What that means is that Blood Angels are not being played as much, therefore their win rate is artificially low because the people who are playing them aren't the competitively skilled players
often
in general
newer players
terms.
Or people who only have one army, or it's their first
or
team,
passion
or
players.
People who love rocking up with a load of dreadnoughts.
Saying that 30% is the definition of what Blood Angels are capable of in the competitive meta right now is, frankly, bollocks.
All right, I mean, I agree with that. There is hardcore. There are some hardcore Blood Angels players that are still, and I mean, up until my last GT, I was still a Blood Angels player, right? So my win rate was about 80%.
And we've seen a couple of lists come out in the past 2 weeks with one guy going 4-1 in his local GT and somebody else winning their GT, and you being disappointed because that means that GW will see it and see that Blood Angels can win things and don't need any buffs whatsoever. And
I really want to know what the lists were for that GT where Blood Angels win, because I mean, I've played against.
Have you not seen it?
I saw the list of the Blood Angels, but I didn't see the list for the Tau and the Custodes that came second and third. Okay. That's what I was trying to get a hold of.
All right, well, hit me up afterwards. We'll dig that shit up. I'm not going to do it on stream because it's taking a fake forever and people will be looking it up and it'll be really, really boring.
I was in BCP. I went all the way through to the tournament, but I guess they've made the list private for some reason.
I can still access those. That's not a problem. I can dig them up. It takes a bit of time, but I've still got the access to be able to find those lists after the fact.
Oh, cool. Okay. But yeah, so it was... I would like to see what because I played against Tau and Custodes, and yes, fair enough, I played against skew lists because I play Andrew and he's a filthy meta chaser and he's the first to admit it. But against skew lists with either shitloads of Custodes bikes or shitloads of battle suits, I just don't know how we beat that. I actually don't think it's possible because you can't do it against the Custodes. You can't do enough damage to really to affect them, and against the Tau, even with a whirlwind. Anytime you make a charge that's into a non-Overwatched unit, you just get whacked.
All right, so we're going to get a balanced data slate next week, which is going to be a month earlier than they should be releasing it every 3 months, which is fine. And they've already said they're going to nerf Harlequins in it, which is fine. They're probably going to nerf some Tau in it, because if they don't, they'll be fucking stupid.
Yeah,
and we'll see what comes from that, and it'll be all right. Eldar's been out for about a month at this point. Tau's been out for 6 weeks, give or take?
Couple of months, I'd say.
Yeah, thereabouts.
Custodes are also pretty... we've talked about... We did the Custodes tier list last week or whatnot. Trajan Valoris, I liked... In the community balance slate, they put him up 30 points. I think he could easily have gone up 30 points. So I guess we'll see if anything changes with them as well.
As a bonus call-out, 20 minutes into our podcast so far, thank you very much to our 2 Patreons who have subscribed to us, Catapult and James Gibb. Your patronage is very much appreciated. We will hopefully be using it to review some shit we wouldn't be looking at otherwise.
Yep. Let's just buy things that we otherwise just can't justify.
Yeah. There's been a couple of requests to get these new mission cards looked at and reviewed. Yep. So we'll probably be doing that at some point because they look interesting. And a few people have said they're interesting.
In fact, I'm going to try and pick them up if I can tomorrow. That's my plan.
The Tempest cards. We'll tell people a little bit about them in case they...
I can't because I don't really know that much about them yet.
I can say a little bit about it. So, Tempest of War cards. If anybody played 8th edition Maelstrom, these are kind of like an update to that idea. So, rather
do they change the objectives every turn?
Yeah, kind of. So, what you've got is you've got like a deck of
that was a lot of
cards with objectives. So, each turn, rather than having your secondaries that you've planned out beforehand, you are drawing cards, and there's some different ways you can draw them and you can swap them and things like that. But basically, you're taking turns. You and your opponent are drawing cards during the game, and on those cards, have got different objectives. So it might be like kill a vehicle in your opponent's army, or take this objective and it'll be numbered because you've got your numbered objective, things like that. And what it does is it means that the points you score for your secondaries actually end up being more than you get for primaries. But because the secondaries are basically changing every turn, you can keep some back and you can play them at strategic times, things like that.
And you can't build your army around secondaries.
You can't build them around them,
what they are, and
which means that
some of
the stress. Adds another layer of randomness to the game.
Yeah,
and it does add a little bit of tacticalness because you do have to think about the different cards. But really, what it's doing is because it's added that little bit of extra randomness. It means you've got to try and build a really balanced army that can deal with any of these situations. If the
thought is during the game rather than head scratching while you're writing the list to try and be able to do whatever you got to do.
If you suddenly get one that's take and hold this objective, and the only thing you've got is you'll start having to throw rhinos into combat or whatever because you need to have something in, and it means that you've really got to build a really balanced army that can deal with any of this mad bullshit that's going to pop up during the game. I absolutely love it. I think they're brilliant. I think they are, to be honest, my favourite way of playing. In 8th, they were my favourite way of playing 8th, and now we're in 9th. Now we're getting them out. I think they're quickly going to become my favourite way of playing 9th because they add so much balance to the game.
I like that they're popular. I like that people are interested in them. I didn't like how they worked out previously, and
what do you mean by that?
I don't know. Some of the Maelstrom cards were all a bit. Some of them were shit. Some of them were really, really good.
Ones in there.
I didn't like how you had to keep track of all this stuff every game. It felt a bit weird how you could be doing one thing one turn and then just switch gear and then do something the other turn. It'd always work out that whatever you were doing was good for you and bad for them, or bad for you and good for them. Yeah. And I don't know. I'm interested to see how these ones play.
If you rock up with an Andrew style skew list, you're totally fucked if you play Tempest of War. You can't do that. If you start trying to meta chase, I've got this very clever combo of absolute doom and all of the whatever the most undercosted list is, you'll lose because you can't play the mission, and the mission is everything. Okay. And what that does is it means that if you've got a particular broken combo in the game at that time, it stops being so broken when if you take it, you're giving up the game, which I think is really, really quite good for playing. These aren't a tournament thing because there's too much randomness. So you can't start putting that into tournaments because it means that you can win or lose based on luck of what people draw and things like that.
There's a fair.
There's enough of that already. Anyway, it makes it much less. But
if somebody was to advertise a tournament as we're doing it as Tempest deck, and people sign up based on that, then sure, go for it.
If you play with mates and you've got one mate who, I'm going to use an example. I'm playing this weekend. One of the guys on our thing is a Tau player. Now, he's been a Tau player
this weekend. Would that be tomorrow? Would that be something to do with the deadline in the background on your screen?
It is something to do with the deadline in the background. That was that's the remains of his army. We'll come to that later. That I had to paint for this thing, but he's been playing Tau for years and loves his Tau. He's actually, speaking of him, he's the Kata from he's one of our 2 Patreons. And
so you can't rag on him too heavily.
But the point is that he's played Tau for years, and he played them when they were rubbish, and he's played them when they're good. And the reason he does is because he loves the aesthetic. He loves battle scenes, thinks they're cool. But let's say now that he turns up and he wants to play a game with me. Now, his army is mostly battle suits. In previous editions, the fact that he leaned so heavily on crisis suits was a problem.
Yeah, unless you were Farsight. Yeah.
Because they weren't all that good. So his army is mostly crisis suits. But he's not going to go out and buy a new army, because if he turns up now with a crisis suit army, everyone's going to hate him for it. We think, oh, you're meta chasing. He's not meta chasing. Just happened to have an army that was based around suits because he likes his weird Japanese shit. But you play Tempest of War, and suddenly that potential advantage he's got is gone, because it won't work so well as an infantry horde in this mission. So if you're playing with your mates and you've got these kind of situations, it really does kind of level the playing field a lot.
All right.
Which I think is quite good.
So would you consider doing that then, John?
Well, Kev already bought a set of cards for, like our gaming room, I guess, where we play. So, like, I'm not against playing a game of Tempest of War, but, like, I have played Maelstrom, and I did play 8th edition, and I actually didn't like the randomness. But again, I guess, see, that's the thing that just comes down to, like, I'm a player that, like, I've played video games as well, and, like, sometimes in video games you've got ranked modes and unranked modes. If people say to me, like, my friends, hey, do you want to play? And I'm like, yeah, sure. They say, let's play unranked. I'm like, I'd rather actually play solo ranked. Like, I can't get excited for it. I guess I'm just a competitive person.
You like to optimize, you like to min-max, you like to work out all the best combos and see them to fruition.
And that's exactly what I've done on the Blood Angels channel, I think. And I'm not a filthy meta chaser. I don't want to change armies. It would take me too long to change armies.
If you're a meta
anyway.
chaser, you'd not be changing to Black Templars.
Yes.
Let's face it.
They're pretty good, but they're not top of
it. They're not the big thing right now, no.
Yeah, so I guess by Black Templars, or my Templars of Blood that they're going to be called, or some other cool name that's going to include some part of Blood Angels. The other one I had was...
it just won't include any of the things that make Blood Angels good.
Well, they kind of will, because
any of the units, any of the special rules.
They will. I'm going to use Terminators. I'm going to use Vanguard Veterans with Lightning Claws. I'm going to use my Captain on a bike. I'm going to use a Chaplain in Terminator armor. I mean, I'm going to play it as a melee army mainly, and I'm going to make it a successor chapter. And
I've read some of your fluff. The suspicious lack of the Black Rage being a thing. Because obviously they can't have any Death Company or any Sanguinary Guard or any Sanguinary Priests or any Sanguinary Discipline Magic or any of that shit, really.
Can I just read you a little excerpt?
Tony, you've got a Custodes army. Shut up.
Yeah, I know. Look, I'm paying them at the moment.
John, please continue.
If you do go over to the Templars of Blood Wikipedia page, it says no one knows exactly how the Templars of Blood have managed to keep the flaw at bay.
I actually did go, and I was surprised. And this is not me taking the piss. You've actually clearly put a lot of effort into that. I was surprised that I was expecting utter shit, and what I got was solid mediocrity.
Mediocrity.
So pretty solid black library level writing.
Yeah, absolutely. So. It was on a par with some of the the omnibus editions you get.
Okay, but So I'm going to run them as a melee chapter, and I'm going to take successors. So Black Templar's chapter tactic is they get a 5-up shrug against mortals, and they can reroll all charges, and they can reroll all advances, right? So that's their chapter tactic. Cool. So I'm not going to take that.
That's about half the chapter tactic that the Eldar Craftworld gets.
Yeah, I'm going to replace that with 2 from the Space Marine books, and one of them is Born Heroes, which means every time I make a charge, I will get +1 to my attack. +1 to my hit roll. So because I'm running squads of Thunderhammers, Terminators with Thunderhammers, Vanguard Veterans with Thunderhammers, I'm running Centurions as well, weapon skill 3. So and obviously not core on the Centurions. And
you do gain props, John, genuinely, for running Centurions.
Okay, thank you.
They're wicked.
I mean, I haven't seen that many Blood Angels painted Centurions because we only got them in 9th edition, right?
Yeah, I haven't painted any yet. I keep meaning to.
They're such a fun model. You've got to do it.
They're really cool. And I always wanted them. I just haven't been able to get around to it since we've gone to 9th edition.
Yeah, I
them finally.
They're one of the.
I did have some for my Raven Guard, and then they nerfed them, so I couldn't use them anymore. So
no.
Well,
I was so sad because I used to love them in my Blood Angels list because they just wreck, and that was with weapon skill 3. So they'll get +1. So, but army-wide, +1 on charging. to hit. So that'll also give the 2 Land Raiders I'm running weapon skill 5+ if they charge as well, and there will be some Land Raider charges.
What kind of Land Raiders?
A Crusader and a regular one.
Okay.
I don't have a Redeemer. I actually did want to run a Redeemer, but
It's a cool one.
I might buy one. So I get +1 to hit, and then the other thing that I'm going to take, because obviously the cool thing about Red Thirst is, I guess, it's if you're charged as well, so like...
Yeah.
You wouldn't get that with Born Heroes, so the other thing I'm going to take is... I forget the name of it, but it's the other successor chapter that lets you fall back and charge. So basically, I will be able to fall back out of any of those combats and just recharge. So basically, all my Terminators, all my everything that's going to previously be weapon skill 3 will be weapon skill 2, essentially. Because I'll never have not charged you.
I don't know what other alternatives there are off the top of my head for you for that, but I'd advise against that on the base. It does sound cool, but that relies on you having been in a round of combat and survived to be able to fall back and charge out of it. And if you're planning for that in a melee-focused chapter, then it sounds like you're sort of planning to fail in a way.
I don't know. Terminators with storm shields and that, they're quite good for taking the hit, and then you take the charge of, because some of the stuff is faster than Marines anyway. It's going to be faster, so it's going to get the charge. So having something to take that charge and then hit back really hard is not.
Yeah, absolutely. It's called tactical withdrawal. What I want to say to you, Mark, is I don't know if you realise how insanely tanky Black Templars are. In that, so imagine my Crusader, right? This is everything. So turn 1, the Crusader moves forward 10 inches, or whatever the movement of Crusader. I think it's 10. So it moves forward 10 inches. Turn 2, right? And this is what I can do. I can move my Crusader forward 10 inches. I can pay 1 CP to disembark the Terminators after it's moved. So disembark them within 3, and then I can charge. So normally, you can't charge out of a Land Raider, but Templars can do that for 1 CP. So my 7 Terminators is going to be 4 Thunderhammers, 3 Lightning Claws, and a Terminator Chaplain are all coming out of that Crusader to charge. And the Chaplain has a litany, and I can do either or. I can either give the entire Terminator squad a 5+ Feel No Pain, or I can give them that every 6 on a hit roll is a mortal wound. So I can...
Are you going to be able to do that? I suspect the answer is no, if you're starting the turn with everything embarked on board the Land Raider.
I am if I pay 1 CP because I've made the Chaplain the Wise Orator.
Okay,
yeah,
fine. Cool.
So we're going to come... So the Terminators, which basically have transhuman permanently, like you can never wound them on 1s or 2s, so you can only wound my Terminators on 3+. And you know how strong 7 Terminators, 7 Terminators. They're also going to have a 5+++. So that's going to be pretty difficult to deal with. And the Terminators are carrying the Holy Orb, which is every turn, I just roll. It's basically a holy hand grenade. Every turn, I just roll a 2+, and on a 2+, I do 3 mortal wounds.
Set the zone and continue on to 3.
And
5 is right out.
So let's say they manage to chew through 2 or 3 Terminators. They chew through 2 or 3 Terminators, right? Because it's pretty difficult to kill Terminators that are transhuman and have a 5+ shrug. Storm shields, 1+ save, whatever.
Yeah.
I have a Selfless Healer Priest in the other Land Raider, who's going to be right next to him, so he's coming out to just pop one of the Terminators straight back up. Okay. And if there's one that's not healed, he'll heal it as well. And in the other Land Raider, they've got the 3 Centurions, and there's so many cool things in this book that it feels so sad that Blood Angels don't get.
You've built a central field Death Star holdy, takey, punchy unit, essentially.
I've built 2. So I'm going to have 1 Land Raider with Centurions and a Priest, 1 Land Raider with a Chaplain and the Terminators. I'm going to go straight to the center board, and I'm going to crush everything that's there. I got the Vanguard Veterans in Cursors to push the flanks. I've also got that Captain on a bike who's kind of insane as well. And Black Templars have a you know how tough that Captain on a bike is. He survives through just about anything. They have a relic that you can give to a character that just reduces all damage done to that character to 1. Not a single attack. All damage done. Which I just think is bloody insane for one of those bike captains that's already darn near unkillable. You know, like the way that the bike captain dies is people hit him with like thunder hammers or plasma guns. If they're only doing 1 damage, multi-melt is doing 1 damage to him at point blank range. You know, it's just
it depends what you hit them with.
Yeah,
it's I mean, the Blood Angel's ability to stack 2 relics on is also fairly tasty. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, yeah, you can just stack 2 warlord traits with this guy. So 1 warlord trait would be like an extra wound and a feel no pain, and then the other one is whatever you want. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tasty list. I got Colin on Monday night, and we'll see.
What's Colin taking?
Death Guard. It's going to be Terminators versus Terminators because you know Colin. He likes his Blight Lords. So Blight Lords, Plague Marines.
You're going into it. Admittedly, you've maximised this. You're playing to win, but this does sound like the pair of you are going into it with a sort of fuck how we're here to have a laugh kind of a game.
Yeah, Colin doesn't want to start another army either. I mean, he's making the best he can with Death Guard, but he's getting frustrated with the state of the meta as well.
Fair enough.
I mean, if you're because Colin goes to a lot of tournaments, he goes to tournaments every month, and I spoke to him, and he said like he's considering just dropping tournaments because like he's Death Guard, he's not winning anything, he's not even coming close to winning.
Yeah, this is the downside of the lack of balance as and when it happens, and it happens periodically. It's happened before; it'll happen again, I'm sure.
Yeah, because when Death Guard came out, do you remember everyone was losing their mind over Mortarion? Everyone was like, "Holy crap, you got no chance against Mortarion."
He's still a fucking badass.
Yeah.
He's still not a lightweight.
No, we just don't see him anymore.
Well, no. Here's another thing. Maybe we've dealt with him for so long that it's a case of we're used to him, we've seen him, we've got some idea of how to deal with him. Maybe some of these newer armies. I mean, it's hard to argue this because Tau is objectively bullshit and broken. But maybe some of these newer armies are just a case of, or partially a case of, we've not had enough time to get used to them and learn how to deal with them yet.
I think that we'll see battle suits and crisis suits go up at least 5 points for model.
We'll find out in a week.
Yeah, find out in a week.
Which will have been a day or two ago, probably, based on when this is going to be airing for you at home, watching this. Assuming you're not watching it much later on. If you I'm not sure this episode is going to have a lot of rewatch value, but who knows?
Well, it might. And so I guess like if you're watching this and battle suits and crisis suits didn't go up 5 points, then you may as well just get out the salt because that's what I'll be bringing next week to the to the podcast.
I mean, the legend goes that John actually once had black hair.
Not quite.
But then he stayed out in the sunlight too long in the sand and deserts, and it boiled all the water out. It just left behind the salty residue, which is why his hair is all white now.
Yeah. The hair is definitely white, but
Tony, you're being concentrating or something.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I'm building an Alaris Terminator.
Fair enough. When are you going to start Sangi?
It's a summer project. So I'm moving house in summer, early summer, and then when I've got to my new house and I've got like a space to properly set up and things. So at the moment, I'm actually slowly clearing all of my stuff out of the house, ready to move, which is what John did last year, I think. Like packing it away, storing it away, shifting things. I've moved most of my collection over to where we play games and that now. So I've got almost no Blood Angels here at the moment at all. I've basically only got things here sort of like available that are things I'm working on painting at the moment. Anyway, yeah, so I have opinions about this. And
go for it. What is this for if it's not for opinions?
I try not to get too worked up about it because I know I'm going to piss people off with this. Because I actually completely disagree about the whole balance state at the moment.
Okay. Tell us.
I want to hear this.
Now, I used to play a lot of tournaments. I don't anymore because I've gotten old. I've got a job that takes up too much of my time, and I've got family and stuff like that. So I don't get to go very often. And also, I don't find the fun in it like I used to. And the reason for that is I have my theories. So when I used to play a lot of tournaments, now I played a lot of tournaments. I played all the way through. I was just about old enough to properly start caring and playing properly, sort of third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and even a little bit of eighth. And I saw a real shift in the way that people used to play games. Now, you go back 10 years, and if somebody started talking about trading in a game, they'd look at you like you was a fucking mentalist. What the hell are you talking about? And it's the same. We did get a bit of message. You always got a bit of message chasing, but it really wasn't that big a deal. You go to a tournament, you bring your army, and if you were a lucky boy, because back then only boys played, yeah, there was other horrible things. But
these days, sadly.
Let's move on. Now it's much better. Believe me, it's much better. My Warhammer club is actually now mostly girls. But anyway, back then, and you were a lucky boy if you had a couple of armies, and the chance of you being able to hop onto eBay and buy whatever the latest broken Quins list was basically nil. Partially because really that ability didn't really exist. eBay was about then, but it was much smaller than it was now. You wouldn't have found either the level of things, but armies were still broken. It happened. You know, you get a new unit and you'd be broken.
And you'd be broken really for powerful. Literally years as well.
And it'd take literally years to fix. And the thing was, though, that the other day, as we're recording this is we're going to have so many angry comments about this. The other day, as we were talking about this, Games Workshop put out a post about the Harlequins, and they said they were going to fix them in the balance slate and stuff like that. And then they also told everybody to start bringing guns that have lots of shots, and they didn't worry about high damage and high strength. And I watched our Discord melt down over that. And I stayed out of it because I totally agree with Games Workshop. Now, go back to 10 years ago. You turned up with whatever your army was. Now, you know, John, you're a Blood Angels player. That means you've got Blood Angels.
Yeah.
You haven't got any other armies, so you went to your tournament with Blood Angels. And if at the moment Quins were a bit stronger, it didn't matter because there'd probably only be one Quins player there because he didn't have. There were, you know. So, and the thing is about the Quins at the moment is probably the weakest army in 40k at the moment. I'd say is the Imperial Fists.
Yes, yeah, they are the lowest on the win rate.
But the thing is, Imperial Fists are great against Harlequins. Massive amounts of strength 4 and a little bit higher shooting. They don't have any AP, but it doesn't matter. They've got no armor. So, and they've all got 1 wound. So everything's getting wounded on a 3 or a 2, and it dies on a 4+. They're fantastic, but it's not going to affect the tournament meta at the moment because nobody's going to turn up there with Imperial Fists. Actually, if you did rock up with Imperial Fists, I can see you doing quite well. But nobody would do that because if you rolled into Tau, say, you'd be boned. You'd be great against all the Harlequin players, but you roll the wrong matchups, you fucked. Again,
what you're describing is the definition of a meta gamer. You read what the meta game is, and you plan your list appropriately.
Was it the anti-meta? But anyway, so let's roll back 10 years again. Everyone would turn up with their army. What that would mean was when you went to a tournament, you wouldn't have, as we're getting now, 20 Quins players, 10 Tau players, and 5 Custodes players, and that's your only options, really, of things you're going to fight. What you'd end up with is 2 or 3 of each. So that would mean that if you rocked up with your Quins, which might be a bit broken at the moment, there's a good chance you're going to run into armies actually that are really strong against you. They're a hard counter. You know, Custodes. Custodes are really powerful at the moment into certain armies, but they're quite weak into other armies. They really struggle with Death Guard, for example. That -1 damage means the entire army is running on half damage. You've just taken a flat, before you've started, a 50% damage nerf to your entire army, more or less, just because you rolled Death Guard. But it doesn't matter in the competitive meta at the moment because you're not going to run into Death Guard. You're going to run into things that haven't got -1 damage on their entire army. So this is, let me get back to the point of the thing. At the moment, there are armies that are broken. But I truly believe that the reason they're broken is because the only things they're facing is things that they're either really strong against because they're the new latest hotness, or each other, and then you've got a mirror match, and that always does weird things.
But how do you fix that in a landscape where everybody wants to chase the meta, right?
Before. You've used this analogy before, and you always talk about, why can't they just balance it? Competitive StarCraft. is
Yeah,
my
they only
answer
have
to that.
3 races, I guess.
They do. And what they've also done, if you look at, because competitive StarCraft is a huge deal, what they did was, because they want to be able to have cool stuff because it's cool and people like playing video games, but they're also aware that they've got a very strong tournament scene. And the problem is you can't do that. So what they did was they've limited all the races to a very limited selection of units. They've limited the number of armies to a very limited number of armies, and they've carefully balanced them against each other. That works beautifully when you've got 3. It doesn't work with, how many factions are there now? 12? 13?
I was going to say, with the
Yeah.
squats getting added, I believe it was
What if someone in the
20?
design department comes up with a wicked cool model? No, man, in the design department, you can't come up with this cool model. You're not allowed because it will unbalance our balancing game. Because you can't balance everything. It means every time somebody comes out with something new, or as a new codex, or as a new interesting thing, or a new model, or we've got this great idea, we're going to bring back squats. Some people don't like them. I don't give a shit. I think they're cool. You can't do that. You're not allowed because it'll unbalance the meta for the 20% of players that play competitive. So, in all honesty, the way I see this is it is broken at the moment. The reason it's broken is because of this kind of like massive flood to everything. Mark mentioned this earlier. Blood Angels have got an abysmally low win rate. Now, part of the reason is the only people who turn up with Blood Angels are people who either have no other army, really love Blood Angels, or fuck it, I don't care, I'm there to have fun. Your Richard Sieglers and things like that aren't going to use them at the moment because they can win easier with Harlequins, like you said. That's going to throw your whole balance off because you've not got that balance of different factions. So some factions are strong against other factions and stuff like that. I truly believe, and this is not a dig before someone gets, this isn't a dig at them particularly, but I genuinely believe the 2 worst things to have happened to 40k are 1, tournaments that you can make money out of, and 2, professional 40k. Because if you've got your livelihood on the line, you're not going to rock up with Guard because you think they're cool. You're going to play whatever you think you can squeeze the most. I love Vanguard Tactics. I watched it loads, especially in 8th. I learned a lot about tri-pointing and stuff like that, which is high-end play from that. But I think, when you're starting to charge £1,000 for a training course, you can't afford to lose. So you're not going to run with the cool stuff that's fun. You're going to run with the stuff that you think you can win with, and then you end up with this massively unbalanced tournament thing. And then you couple that with the fact that you can win actual real money. It matters now whether you turn up with Blood Angels or you turn up with Tau.
There's a very easy way around this though, and that is choose your battles.
Yeah. And it is for me. I made the decision, not interested anymore. I wasn't that big into it the last little while anyway. I have much more fun playing games with my mates with models that I like.
And you cut out the aspects of the hobby that aren't making you happy, and you focus on the aspects that are. Yeah,
and because I genuinely don't think they can fix competitive because it's gone too far now. They can't roll it back. Do you remember they used to have rules about, they used to say in the main rule book, if there's something comes up in the rule book that doesn't quite work or doesn't make sense, think about what the most cinematic and exciting thing for both of you is and do that. You're not
roll off
that now. It's whatever. Now you win by exploiting whatever rules jank you possibly can get, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I love 40k at the moment.
That'll vary. That'll vary depending on who you play, where you play, what you play.
It does a little bit.
We are as a whole focused on the more competitive side of 40k gaming.
I genuinely say
the 3 of us and the community that we're a part of.
Yeah, to an extent. I don't know if it's all of the community. We still see loads and loads of posts saying, I've just got into Blood Angels and I'm really excited. What unit should I run? And I do think it's wrong to now turn around and go, don't run any because they're all shit.
I don't do that.
I don't think you do. But anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah.
It's funny to take the piss out of you as if you are, but absolutely. No, I don't think you do.
Yeah. At the moment,
so please don't take it seriously.
I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'm having the most fun with 40k that I've had since I was a teenager. And it's because I don't give a shit about the tournament scene, because I think it's totally artificial, because it's now dominated by people who take it so seriously they've forgotten that we're playing a game with toy soldiers and we're using these toy soldiers because they're cool. And I'm not interested. But what I have got is, with this new age of connectivity and things like that, I've made amazing friends through the hobby recently. You guys, for a start, we make this podcast every couple of weeks. We have a lot of fun. We chat. We take the piss out of each other. I'm painting loads of models for people. I'm playing a game. I'll show you my list in a minute if you like. I'm playing a game this weekend with 7,000 points aside, and I've made a point of bringing nothing good. And the whole army's nothing good. You know, we've got Tau's supremacy armors and barracudas and tiger sharks and ultramarines.
So in the comments, I want everybody who's reading this now. Who's watching this podcast now, because this game will have already taken place by the time you watch this.
Yeah.
I want you to put in the comments how long you think the first turn of Tony's game will have taken to play through.
My money is on 2 hours.
I think you're being very generous with that.
But anyway, no, so the point is I'm going to have some fun. I'm meeting a lot of people. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm painting loads of armies. At the moment, I've got my sort of two kind of main armies are Blood Angels, because I love them. Not because I think they're good, but because I think they're cool. And the Custos. And the same reason, to be honest. I've been playing Custos now for a while. And the reason I initially picked them up, actually, this is genuinely true, was because I really wanted to play some 40k. I didn't have time to paint anything, and they looked like the quickest one to paint. And then I've always thought they were cool because I remember the old artwork and that from Rogue Trader days, because I'm that old.
How do you not think Necrons were the quickest army to paint? You literally spray them silver and then you dump. You could even do that when you turn them upside down and dip them in the wash. Done.
I know people who bought into Knights because it's like I need to buy 3 models and then I'm done.
I've got a Necron army downstairs from Indomitus and the magazine and stuff, and I use it when I'm teaching kids to play.
Okay.
Because to be honest, the kind of Necrons and basic Space Marines is a nice match-up when you're teaching people to play the game.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, I'm having more fun than I've ever had. I've got great mates. I have a lovely time. The Discord generally is pretty good. At the moment, it's getting a bit too salty, and that gets on my fucking wick. Because all I'm thinking about is, yeah, absolutely. If you run 15 Star Weavers or whatever it is, you're running a broken army. But how many of your mates genuinely can afford it? I know your mate Andrew can, but none of my mates can. And he probably 3D prints them or nicks them anyway.
He did buy it. He does 3D print a lot of models.
You know, yes. So it doesn't count then. You know, so fuck it. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I don't give a shit that Harlequins are broken, because at the moment we're really good into Harlequins, or my army is, because it's got loads of low strength attacks. If Flesh Terror's fucking brilliant into them, except Seth because he's still shit. Masses of relatively low strength. They're wounding everything in their army on 2s, and they've got a bazillion attacks from a fail.
Yeah. Just how no one. I assume no one's running Flesh Terrors at tournament
running
scene.
Flesh Terrors, so of course Harlequins are really good against Tau, which everyone else was running.
Mm-hmm.
But they're crap against sort of like your standard massed bolter fire.
Yeah, we just
nobody's running mass bolter fire, so it ain't gonna matter.
Can we talk about bolters for a minute?
They're a bit crap.
Yeah, like, do you think that bolters at strength 4 0 AP are actually good in 9th edition, I guess? Or do you think that, like...
I think they are if you're killing Quins. Or Eldar. But anything else, no, they're rubbish. But yeah, Sisters got on right with bolters.
I don't know, bolters have been left behind, I think. Considering what they're supposed to be in the lore, you know? They're supposed to be, like, shooting literally rockets, right?
I do actually agree. I think that
from a time
everything has become more powerful except for bolters.
When the las guns were supposed to be, like, the baseline of strength 3.
They all said it, didn't they? That the baseline for 40k used to be a guardsman with a las gun. I just think it's moved on from then.
Yeah,
that was back in 3rd and 4th. And
seeing what they're doing for the basic guns that are Termagant, whatever the fuck they call them, now, compared to a bolter is a little bit silly.
I think that it's the same strength as a pulse rifle was a little bit silly as well, to be honest.
But I expect that will change in the next iteration of Space Marine rules.
Maybe we'll get better bolters, or maybe they'll just improve the bolt rifles to try and make it all by Primaris Marines, which fine. I wish they just said they were upscaled. Here's an squad.
Have you seen the new Heresy models that come out today?
That new box set.
Yeah.
I'm buying it. And I'm going to paint the whole thing as Blood Angels. Scale? Run them with Sangi, and I don't give a shit how good they are.
Have you seen the scale?
Yeah, they look really nice. I haven't seen the scale. I've only seen the The official kind of Guardian community post.
The new Firstborn Beaky models that are shown off from the Heresy box set are the same scale as Primaris Marines.
Excellent. I'll buy 2.
So they're bigger than normal Firstborn Marines.
Yep.
Which logically means they won't fit in rhinos or drop pods.
Surely not.
We've got our Mark IV Demos ones, haven't we?
That's legacy rules as well that need to get changed.
That needs to change because that's just pointless bullshittery.
Something's going to change there. But it's interesting to see that they're upscaling Firstborn in Heresy.
Well, they've been
to be the
slowly
same
doing it over the last little while, haven't they? If you look at the earlier Heresy kits and you put them next to the more modern kits, there's a real significant difference. Because
and even if you put them up against
Mark
like the
III
original
Marines
RTB ones from Rogue Trader,
those plastic Mark III Marines look really dinky compared to the slightly more modern resin models and that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think
it's just see what the scale means.
I was going to say it's just so much more enjoyable to paint. As much as there's hate on Primaris, I've never really had a Primaris.
They're really fun to paint. I like the models. I really do.
I was going to say I just really love painting Primaris models in terms of like the size of them. Just
modelling, scale, the dynamism that they've done with them. Yeah. I can agree with Tony here. The fluff on behind them was bullshit.
That's bullshit.
The fact that they can't fit in drop pods and rhinos is bullshit.
I don't see the problem. Why couldn't they just said, do you know what? The tactical Marines are too small. Everyone's known they're too small. They've been too small since RBT01. Let's just make a new one. And they said, look, here's our new intercessor. This is a replacement for the tactical Marine.
They've just got a new suit of armour. It's new Mark 10 armour. Yeah. There you go.
It's bigger. It's better. It's easier to paint. They're easier to model. They look cool. Although I'm not sure. I did notice this, and I was talking to someone earlier. Do you reckon they're pushing to cater to the American crowd a little bit more with the manual of arms for the weapons? Because I've noticed this a lot. And there's that kind of like...
What are you on about?
Well... The manual of arms is kind of like how you operate your weapon and things like that. And I've noticed that the poses that modern Marines are in, this sort of shape. We're seeing this with the little finger along the side of the trigger and that. If you look at the new, which is very American style. That's how they're sort of like trained to use their M4s. The sort of low ready position and that is very, very American military manual of arms, I've noticed. So you look at the older models, and apart from the ones that are just like this, it was very, very British inspired in the way that their military systems work. And the new ones, the poses, the equipment, the guns, all of that is very much more kind of USA M4 Call of Duty.
I can see where you're coming from. I can see why you would think that way, but I think you're mixing what they've done with a potential cause. I don't think it's necessarily there. I don't think it's necessarily designed to appeal to a US market more than it currently is. I think it's more going along the lines of what cinema and pop media have shown us special forces do, rather than specifically to appeal to Americans.
I think it will more, but because of course a lot of the cinema are video games that are based on America. Fuck yeah! No, that was Team America. That was wicked.
That was a great film.
I mean, even if
I laughed my arse off to that film.
Even if they were pushing a little bit into America, it would make sense. I mean, like, they're the biggest English-speaking audience in the world. Yeah. Why would you not push a little bit?
But I mean, by the same token, we seem to have lost a lot of the satire as well.
Do you know the one thing that I just need to bring up, really important about Primaris Marines? Sorry, just before you get off topic.
Just go off on a rant.
How about, maybe... Do we put a Primaris helmet on a Terminator? Would that be a cool idea?
No, look, fucking disgusting.
How dare you? That's a betrayal of every value.
That literally winds everybody up.
It's awful.
I found a Terminator that was like, helmetless in my like pile of shame the other day, but he sprayed, and I was like, I wonder if I can like get his head out of there and get another Primaris head in there. I hate painted faces anyway, so
I quite like it. I think I'm some sort of like I do a lot of commission paintings, but my whole Blood Angels army, because I've got so little free time, has been basically speed painting from the start. So I haven't got time to dedicate to painting faces, but when I do get a bit of time on my own to do my own thing, I quite enjoy it. There's quite a lot of I've been working on. I've got Trajan Valoris' head here. You're not going to be able to see this on a tiny thing. That's just not going to focus. But I've been working on him, trying to get his facial expression about right.
Oh, cool.
But that's kind of like something I've just left sitting on the side here every time I've got a little bit of time, glazing a few more colours in there, trying to get it a little bit more interesting looking. But it takes ages to paint faces.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a required skill as well, isn't it?
I've got to the point where I just put flesh stuff on it, do an ink wash or a contrast wash, and leave it at that, unless I'm absolutely desperate to make it stand out.
I just don't have many bare heads unless it's on something that I'm willing to spend the time on.
Come to the same sort of
Yeah.
conclusion. Helmets for the win.
And it always looks weird on Terminators.
So
Yeah, if you're wearing like heavy boarding armor, why you not got a helmet on?
Oh, it's not just it's the aspect ratio, because the shoulders of the Terminator are up here where the heads is like, you're fucking weird.
Doesn't
Sort
line
of.
up.
So, question then on the tournament stuff before we move on.
Okay.
Is there anything that GW could do, or is there anything anyone could do that would you think would reinvigorate / make the tournament scene more healthy? Because I think I do not like meta chasing, right? Like I'm with you in that I think meta chasing is a bad thing.
But the problem is it's going on, and what it means is that if you're not doing it, you can't compete in tournaments.
Yeah, you basically have to get lucky, or
and
that's
what breaks it.
enter
Now,
likes.
I've got two solutions because I have thought about this, and I don't think either of them are good. And like I said, I'm going to get so much hate in the comments on this. That's why I should have just kept my mouth shut.
No.
Do it. So I've come up with two.
Any haters going to hate, we can fuck off.
The two solutions that I think are the only ones that I can think of that would really work, because I've seen loads of stuff about how to rebalance it and this sort of stuff. Actually, I've got sort of three, but the third one's a bit ropey. So let's start with the slightly ropey one. Now, the thing is, we keep seeing stuff about balance slates nerfing things. Well, the easiest thing for GW to do with that is go the other way. So at the moment, Harlequins are too good. So in order to balance them back down a bit, buff the shit out of Imperial Fists. Because what that will do is that's going to encourage people to run those armies that are stronger against that particular matchup. But you've not nerfed that matchup. It's still very strong, which means it's still really good into Tau, who happen to be really good into Imperial Fists. So whenever you've started getting in a situation where one faction is dominant, you buff its kind of counter faction. And that hopefully would incentivize people to run those armies. But really, here's the other two solutions.
I actually like that first solution. It could be a way to, because
people always feel sad when you've like made their stuff shitter, don't they?
They do, and
so
people don't always switch either. You know, they try to find a way to.
Always a feel bad, always compared to a buff.
The other solutions are, number one, because the big problem I see is for tournaments is the balance of factions.
Mm-hmm.
You can't start saying, "Oh, we're going to have a quota. We're only allowing 2 people to play Harlequins," because that's not going to work, and you're going to have a real feel bad. What's the only armor you've got? Can't.
Yeah.
So this was suggested to me, and I like it, but I don't know how you'd logistically do it. What you do is for your kind of really big tournaments, the really important ones, your Adepticons, your whatever goes on at Warhammer World, blah blah blah. What you do is you do heats, and you mirror match all your factions up. And then you have a final stage. So all your Harlequins players try and kill each other, and the best Harlequins player goes through. And then all your Space Marine players or Blood Angels players and your best Blood Angels player go through. So your final round of your tournament, there's only, say, one of each faction in it.
Sounds cool as well, actually.
Logistically, it'd be tricky to do. But what it would mean is your final round of the tournament, because there's all of the different things, and if you have to play against all these different things as well, or potentially you can't start leaning too heavily into one of them because you might get fists if you're playing Harlequin. So I think that would probably balance it.
Do you know, that'd be cool as well, actually, if you...
Because you'd like the best Blood Angels player against the best Quins player against the best Death
If you
Guard
do
player
turn up with an army that's super meta, then you've got 50 other people to fight through for you
but if you turn up with, I don't know, whatever shit guard it is, then
there's
you
only one other guard
get
player.
A straight run to the final. But then it's against incentivizing you to take the less taken things because you've got an easier run in. And then the other thing I thought about, and this is probably the only one that would really truly work if they want to have a balanced tournament scene, and that is your StarCraft it. and you say, we're only allowing these units, they have these fixed costs, and you massively limit it, and you say, all that new cool stuff, you want to bring, I don't know, a tournament, you want to bring a Titan or whatever, you can't. You can only bring this much narrowed down selection that we have carefully balanced against each other to make sure that every faction is totally balanced. Because you cannot have balance in a game system with this many different armies, with this many different combinations, with this many different potential warlord traits, stratagems. Like you were saying earlier about your successor chapter buffs, there's too many to realistically balance it. And every time you bring out a new one, you're going to break it again. So you don't bother. You just say, right, we're narrowing it down. You're only allowed to take these half a dozen different things.
Interesting little side note here then. Yep. Horus Heresy is an inherently much more balanced game.
Yes.
Despite the fact that it's still basically 40k. Because with a few exceptions, like the AdMech stuff and so on, you're basically balancing power armor versus power armor.
Yeah. Everything's balanced because there's much less stuff to be in it.
Everybody's using the same army list with a few little tweaks here and there.
You might think, I'm going to run a Primarch, or I'm going to run some Angel's Tears. But really, you're still running basically, broadly, the same sorts of things. And you can balance them against each other that way.
Well, maybe not completely, but a lot more easily.
Not completely, but a lot more reasonably. And I did see one post, which I'm not sure how much I agree with, which was, don't make a new Horus Heresy because it means all the dickheads that left Horus Heresy to play 40k tournaments will come back. I don't think that's really fair, but I can sort of see the
might
logic.
Be fair, but also, fuck you. If it's making you a game and I want to play it, then I'll play it.
I can sort of see the logic in the people who play it are people who love it and play it for fun as a game, not because you can win money in it.
You can maintain that by just choosing who you play against.
Yeah,
that's not a big deal.
But you can't in a tournament. So you don't play tournaments, which is what I'm doing at the moment. But yeah, so it's.
Oh, did you get a ticket to the Heresy thing?
7 seconds they sold out in.
Wow.
I was on the page from quarter 2, and I managed to get a couple in my basket, but I was clicking checkout when it said no longer available. And I happened to, because I had a timer up, because I was that desperate to get these tickets. It was 7 seconds past when it was telling me they were sold out.
Wow.
So how did people get through the credit card stuff that quick?
Well, I think once you click checkout, it locks them in, and you don't need to.
Oh, right, okay. I'm with you.
But 7 seconds, I literally had it, open, tickets, click, and that was too slow.
But I mean, I can believe they must have not been that many tickets. There must have been like
maybe,
500
and
tickets.
apparently they gave loads of them away to like YouTubers and stuff. So if we were more important, then maybe we'd have got some. But do you know what? And this was what really makes me sad. I bet loads of people are going because they're like, oh, maybe Henry Cavill will be there, or I can make some money with her. Do you know? I really wanted to go because I really, really, really wanted to meet Andy Wardle. That's what I was going for. I wanted to meet Andy Wardle because he painted some of my very favourite models that I've ever seen. He inspires my painting. I've been a Patreon of Cult of Paint for years, for not years, but for ages. It was like an opportunity to meet Andy Wardle. Really, he's just won another Golden Demon, and that was really exciting to me.
So if you're watching this and you've got a ticket for the Horus Heresy event thing, preview thing, that you don't mind getting letting go of, then Tony will be glad to take it off your hands and put it in the
someone
hands
who
of
try and
your
get me
fanboy.
Andy Wardle's autograph. But yeah, I was so excited about it because Tabletop Tactics there as well, and I actually pay for their subscription. That's good. I get my money's worth out of that. So there's a couple of people, and that's what I wanted to go for. Horus Heresy is wicked cool. But yeah, I really wanted to meet Andy Wardle. It's like my painting idol. I was genuinely. So I stay well out of our salty channel, but then that was my bit of salt. I was genuinely upset. I was so excited to go.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Sold out in 7 seconds. I was a very bitter man.
They must have needed to do a bigger. They must have not realised how popular it would have been, or it needed a bigger venue. Because
I thought they did a good job with the 25th anniversary event that Mark and I went to. They split it up.
Oh, that's sold out fucking quickly as well.
Not 7 seconds quickly.
Yeah.
That's
sold out fucking quickly.
It's got to be a bot. There's got to be bots to do that quick.
The doubles event also sold out really quickly.
Well, we didn't get tickets, did we?
That's my point.
Yeah.
I focused on the 25th anniversary run rather than doubles.
Yeah. I'm rightly so. I think we had a wicked time there.
Yeah, it was good. It's good.
I'm going back there tomorrow.
Have you got a shopping list?
Tempest of War.
Got it.
Well,
you're gonna drive an out the road to
I'm buying a
Warhammer World.
house. I haven't got any money.
So why are you driving an out the world to Warhammer World when petrol prices they are then?
No, no, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Well, no, we've got this mega event. I was going to show you the list actually. We've got this mega event coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
With it's only 6 people taking part, and you can see my board behind me. That's only the last phase of it, painting up stuff for this game. Let me see if I can share this with you. So this is my list of what I'm going to play on Saturday, and part of it is we're doing a trip to Warhammer World as a big group and all this sort of thing. If I can make it work, present.
Should be able to.
You're gonna try and drown Brugman's bar, are you?
Well, I'm going to try the couple of beers that I haven't tried. So can you guys see this list?
Can indeed.
I can.
Right, so this is what I'm running. And before you start criticising it, John, I've already scored it. It scores a perfect 50.
Okay.
Because you tell me what it can't do.
Okay.
Because I've got an extra 1,000 points. So I've gone double Vanguard. Some might say a risky choice. I've got a Chaplain with a jump pack. He's not the best one.
You're
but I love
a
the
bit
model.
low on CP then, are you saying? Ooh.
I've got 7.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, because you get 15 on a 3,000 point list.
Could be higher.
So I've started with the jump pack Chaplain because he's the best Chaplain model we have. And I've given him the Inferno pistol because it's on the model.
I'm surprised the Chief Librarian let that go past, but okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a good one, though. But yeah, that's a Chaplain model. It's the best Chaplain.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at Librarian. Yes, it's the best Chaplain.
So it's a standard Librarian there as well. It's a jump pack one with the standard kind of loadout, to be honest, because it's just the one I normally run. I've got a Libby Dread because it's a Libby Dread and he's fucking cool. He can fly.
And a
Primaris Tech Marine because I like the model.
Just an Apocalypse game then?
No, we're playing normal 40k. I wanted the Apocalypse rules, but you can't buy them anymore.
Oh, really?
No, you can't. They haven't updated it to 9th, and you can't buy the 8th book.
Okay.
Since sort of there-ish. I'll dig it out in a bit if you want.
So Primaris Tech Marine because I like the model. I've got a couple of troops units for tokenism. Some assault intercessors and an intercessor squad with a power fist. The reason I've got them is because I've got an intercessor squad with assault bottles and a power fist, and I really like it, and I never play it anymore because I really did a good job painting it, and I was proud of that model. That's why I'm running it. And then we've got the elites, which is why I'm running a Vanguard. I've got a Death Company Dreadnought. I've got some Death Company. I've got a Judicia. You ever run one? Because I haven't for ages.
Yep.
Not since like the beginning of 9th, I don't think.
Yeah.
I've got Redemptor because I like the model. I've got some Sanguinary Guard, all with swords because I made loads of swords before axes become better.
So does everybody, right?
They're better or not depending on what army you're facing. So
I've got a Deredeo with the anti-air missiles because it's 25 points of fail for those missiles, but they look better.
Cool.
That's one of my CP gone. I've got a normal Dreadnought. And now this is my classic 2nd edition metal Dreadnought, which I think should be a venerable Dreadnought just because it's venerable and older than most of the people that are playing 40k at the moment.
I was going to say, he's living his best life then.
He's actually venerable. I've got an Ironclad and a Drop Pod.
Nice.
I've got a Leviathan. I've got 2 Relic Contemptors, one of them with the Volkite, because I actually like Volkites because they're cool. And the other one's got the Cyclone Missile Launcher and a Plasma Cannon because it looks cool. Missed other shit. I've got an Outrider squad because they're terrible, but I like the models. Eradicators because I haven't used them since the beginning of 9th.
Mm-hmm.
A Storm Talon because I think they're cool. And a Dreadnought Drop Pod. And this sort of picture at the bottom here is the stuff that I've painted just for this game.
Wow.
In the last 12 months. So I was quite proud of this because
absolutely, you bloody well should be.
There is there's 3,000 points of Blood Angels there. There's 3,000 points of Tau there. There's 2,000 points of Knights there.
Hope you're getting well compensated for this.
There is a Thunderhawk downstairs that says yes.
Okay.
And a few other bits as well, like quite a lot of Custodes.
Why is the Thunderhawk not painted in this list?
Do you want the honest answer? I didn't have time.
Fair enough.
It was always my intention to do it, but I don't want to make a hash job of it.
Yeah, it's too expensive a model for me.
It's too expensive a model, and I probably spent 50 or so hours just building the fucker. And I worked it out because I have to sort of budget the time and that. Yeah, there's 2 storm surges on there, and I managed to get those done in about 20 hours each, and that was a real clever planning. It's just too much time. I was working out the timing on it, and I reckon I need at least, to do it justice, I probably need another 50 or so hours on it. And
I think
fair enough.
50 hours is good going. I'm
that's
sure
just the painting. I reckon it's 100 hours in total.
Yeah.
I've spent 50 odd hours so far in the New Horizon video game.
So I'm pretty quick at painting, and I take a lot of shortcuts because most of what I do commission stuff, but it's normally I need an army quickly or I need units quickly. So it's all sort of like speed paint stuff. Not many people ever want, like, the people that I do stuff for don't really want display quality. They want it looking good on a table, and they want it quick.
Can I ask you a question about painting the Thunderhawk? Have you started?
Yeah. No, now I've finished the stuff that I had to do because I was getting paid to do it. I actually today started cleaning up a lot of gaps and that on it.
Filling in some of those holes I saw.
So because Mark had a little play with it when he came over. I've started filling in some of those gaps and just tidying it up and stuff.
My question is,
and I'd like to finish it before we move. That's kind of my. But
my question,
I'm having fun.
Is like how. See, when I painted my super heavy and it's the falchion.
Yeah.
See, once you be like painting a Land Raider is fine, right? There's no weight to it whatsoever. But painting something like those Forge Roll tanks, you're literally giving yourself a dead arm.
That Storm Surge is about the heaviest thing in that pile that I painted. And actually, to be fair, all the Tau big ones, the 2 Tiger Sharks, they're so heavy that to paint them, you have to rest it on something. Now, I got round it with the Storm Surge a little bit because I magneted as much as I could get away with. I can paint it in bits. But they are the big Tiger Sharks. You can't. It's all one huge chunk of resin.
This model here is a Porphyrian Knight.
Yeah.
That's all resin. That was heavy, and the way I got around painting that was just literally painting it all in sub-assemblies and bits and gluing it together when each individual part was done. I just couldn't hold it as the whole thing. It wouldn't work for me.
The bigger Knights that I did one of them I did as one big lump. And the other one, I did it as a skeleton because it does let you do that. And then the armor plate's separate.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way I'd do it again, which I have made a video on, but I've got to learn to video edit so that I can make the video into a video that we can never post. Basically, I've got like 4 hours of raw footage of, like probably 2 hours of me with my airbrush going, why the fucking hell are you blocked again?
If you want to see that video, comment and let us know.
If it is something people are interested in, I will edit it down. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to edit it down, but I will edit it down because I painted the
paying Patreon subscribers will get to bully Tony into putting that thing live online.
I painted that Green Knight in 3 hours, and that involved a hell of a lot of planning.
I remember you saying you painted
careful working out how and what the order I was going to do it, so that I was working on one thing while other bits were drying and curing and that for the varnishes and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I've painted an awful lot for this game, and that list I've written is a perfect 50 scoring list. But
I feel really sad that you weren't able to get the Apocalypse rules because it's great for giant games like that.
The Apocalypse rules are really good.
Yeah, I'm sad they haven't.
You can probably bodge them very easily by playing 9th edition as it currently is, but don't take anything off the table until after the end of the first battle round, so that everything gets a chance to attack and do something in its first turn.
I was thinking about that, and the thing I couldn't figure out because I haven't got a copy of those old Apocalypse rules is how it deals with the fight phase and things like shooting in combat and stuff like that.
Oh, I'll post it. I'll either take photos of it or post it to you. It's buried underneath the Blood Bowl box, sort of there-ish on my shelf somewhere.
Yeah, there might be a set. If they've got because we were looking for them when we went to the 25th. If they've got those snotlings in stock for Blood Bowl, then they might be on my shopping list. I don't give a shit about winning. I just want to paint a load of snotlings.
No, that's fine.
I just think that would be fun. John, what are you doing to that Land Raider?
I am OCD about underneath the sponson, in there, whatever. There's a little bit that I missed, I guess, because the gun turret is in the way. So I'm getting in there and just putting the base coat of red in behind those stupid guns. Right.
Do you want to know a secret?
Don't paint in behind there.
I don't paint the underside of tanks. Because what am I going to do? Who's going to look at the fucking bottom of it?
Don't you remember when Land Raiders could fly? What happens when it flies?
Deep strike. Woo!
Oh, that was so cool.
Yeah.
You don't paint the underside of tanks. I've heard it
Well,
all
my
now.
rule
And
is
you
I
guys
don't
make
do
fun of
something.
me and my lower knowledge. I mean, I can never look at you the same way. I mean,
The thing is, I paint a lot of stuff, and I have to paint a lot of it quite quickly.
that just
I
sounds like an
sub-assemblies,
excuse.
but the way I started painting is, unless it's going to make it noticeably quicker, I don't use them, because if I can't get a paintbrush in there, I probably can't see it. So, because I start with a dark undercoat generally anyway, I just don't worry about it. Paint the things people can see, because if someone starts going along with all my models, starts trying to look up the fucking skirts, I've got bigger problems. You know, if you're worrying about whether I've painted that bit on the underside of a Space Marine tank, stop staring up his jacksie. You know, don't do it.
Okay,
If
well,
you
I-
think,
Is he
if you
Scottish?
think,
Oh look,
if you
no one's
think
wearing
Tony-
underwear, he can't be.
if you think Tony is a monster for not painting the underside of tanks, say so in the comments. I want to see it.
sometimes
Right,
I
move
even
on your
paint
life.
the underside of the bases black. People have made fun of me on stream for doing that.
That's because they're right to. The only thing I do think that you're a monster for not doing, John, is not drilling out your goddamn barrels. It takes 1 second with a pin vise. It's
Okay,
dumb.
all right, we can disagree. We can agree
And
to
that's obvious.
disagree.
You can see that. You
That's-
can't see the underside.
Hold on.
I'll do you one worse. I drill out some of my gun barrels, but not all of them.
Oh, that's what.
We
Do you know
need
how
a.
anal I've got? Here's a
Go on,
bowl
John.
predator that I've been pissing about with for a while.
Go on, John.
Right.
We
I
need a.
drill
no,
out the little holes on the exhaust pipes.
Okay, can we ask as a community update for the on the channel, because we need to do a community post this
Yeah,
week.
we need to do one today.
Oh
really.
yeah,
I'll
shit.
post
We should
something
have
in a
done it
minute.
yesterday.
So the community post this week should be what is more heretical, not drilling out your gun barrels or not painting the underside of the tank. And the loser has to take some sort of forfeit. Because it wouldn't be proper without forfeit,
What
right?
the hell kind of Oh, and what should the forfeit be? Post in the comments what the forfeit should be, because we can't think of one.
If I lose, I'll paint the underside of my bowl predator.
No, it's gonna be worse than that. It's gonna be like you've got to have a shot of Jaeger bomb into a pint or something and down
Oh,
it.
that's
Like,
You've got to buy a Harlequin's army and paint it. Checkers and all, with all the little diamonds.
You know that they've just done Last Chance to Buy with some old Quinn models.
Yeah.
I just bought them.
What, did you buy the troop?
I didn't realise it was been replaced. That's how out of touch I am sometimes. I thought
Yeah,
that was the
wow.
current one.
Okay.
So here we go. This is what I'm going for now as we're doing this is a triple fruited mango beer.
well, enjoy it while you can, because next week you're having a shot of Jägermeister with in your beer, because people are definitely going to say that. I mean, if you've not voted in the community post and you're watching this now, get the fuck over there and vote for
Yeah. Do
the
vote.
painting underside of the tanks.
Oh my
is
God, it's
definitely
yellow.
worse.
It's going to be decided by
It's
the
yellow.
point in time when
It
we
looks like
film
juice.
the next episode, and we'll be filming the next episode of this probably on Thursday, the
Are we going to have a
21st.
script for the next
of
one rather
April.
than just in this
Talking
one?
about deadlines, John, how's your fucking painting competition going along?
Oh yeah, I'm ready to do it. Finally, do you know what? There have been quite a few people said like
Fuck me, that's horrible.
that beer literally looks like orange juice, man.
It does, and it's like
Literally looks like you
What the
just poured a
shit is
pint of
this?
fresh orange.
it looks like if you look at it, it looks like a pint of well, you can't see it now because it's off the screen, but it looks like a pint of orange juice or mango juice. And the
Mango juice,
mango
yeah.
is what smacks you in the face, but it's
When
like
you
mango
were
juice.
like,
Someone's dropped a shot of whiskey in.
I was gonna say, when you were like Marks and Spencers, do they have like a shelf that says like shit no one else wants, and you like walk up to it and they're like, just like, oh, I'll have that.
Well, I always like to try new things.
Okay.
And to be fair, that the brewery this come from is up the road from me, and they're really nice guys that run it, and I go in there quite a lot.
Well, they gotta be nice when they're selling crap
And
like that. or no
I
one buy
always
it.
drink that beer, and I know it's really good, and they have some great. Some of them I don't like so much, but when you're going to do that, for every like few nice beers that I have, I like to go to the shop and buy something really weird that I've never heard of, and then because you never know, sometimes it might be quite good.
Have you ever found one that is quite good when doing that? That's a no.
I had a raspberry. Was it
He's
a raspberry Berliner?
He's reaching.
And that I really enjoyed that. That was really quite tasty. And I had a plum sours once that I quite enjoyed as well. But yeah, most of the time it's rubbish. But you never know. You might get a little joy of it. And how many people would you know that have drunk beer that looks like orange juice?
One, you.
Yeah. Oh god, I was on holiday in the Netherlands with 20 WoW nerds,
it's
and we were
so
drinking
sour.
everything that we could, and even we would not have drunk that bullshit.
Sour, my eyes are watering.
We bought crates of Bavaria beer, and we ran out of beer and had to go and restock halfway through.
Bavaria beer making
because
beer.
Because we ran out of beer.
Breakfast beer in Africa.
We had a table full of spirits, like fucking 20 bottles of whiskey and gin and rum and all this sort of bullshit, and we put a serious dent in that when we ran out of beer. That was a horrible night. It was also a really fun night around the fireplace.
It sounds like a bad plan.
It was a great night.
Okay, so we've got a community post worked out. That's good.
Yes.
I'll write that up in a minute and I will post it when we finish streaming.
Excellent.
Should we? I think we've sort of done our topic to the death. Should we go on to our glory pile?
We can. Before we do that, is there anything anybody else wants to get off their chests? We probably have like
John. You're a salty bitch.
I think we've already said that once or twice.
I'm just making sure it was understood.
Okay.
It is understood.
You're a better man than me for not striking back more than you have done, John. So props to you for that.
No, I actually feel very sad about it, honestly. Like, 3 months ago because it was about 3 months ago, right after the AdMech Codex came out, that I had that game against Gav.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually played against Innes. I don't know if you guys know Innes. Innes won the Manchester GT. He was playing Crusher Stampede. And I think in the top 20 at Manchester, there was like 14 Harlequins. It was like 3 Custodes, 2 Tau, and then Innes with his Crusher Stampede out of nowhere winning it.
Mm-hmm.
And I played Innes at one of the GTs that I was at last year. And, at that point, I basically was playing Blood Angels 100%. I mean, I haven't played anything but Blood Angels. But, like, both Innes and Gav had said to me, like, you shouldn't complain so much about Blood Angels. You just play something else that's better right now. And I was like, but that's not really who I am, or that's not really what I want to be doing. But I really want to win a GT this year. And, like, fair enough. It's fair enough to say that, like, not the best Blood Angels players are playing Blood Angels. That's fair enough to say. I suppose that's 100% accurate, I think. So our win rate probably, like, if the best players were all playing it, our win rate's probably mid-40s, I would say.
I don't know. What's your win rate, John?
I'm not 80%.
Right, and you're the best Blood Angels player I know. So if we extrapolate that out, that would put Blood Angels win rate at about 80%. Right?
It's not 80%.
I'm taking the piss, but at the same time, I'm not.
Sure. Sure. I mean, yeah, I get that. But I feel like I do feel like I'm going into some of these games pretty handicapped. And I guess
I don't think anybody blames you really. I've got a couple of armies. Yes, I've got a couple of armies. Whilst Blood Angels are my absolute favourite, I love them. I think they're so cool. I've got these Custodes here. I've got a fairly hefty Sisters of Battle army. I actually have a Black Templars army somewhere. I played it for quite a long time. I've got 1,000 Suns army. I've got some Grey Knights. I've got some Elder. The thing is that you go through phases, and what I've always sort of, I have one army that I'm really playing. That's my main, and then I have another one like I'm enjoying painting this gold. I spent a lot of time pissing about with some gold recipes to try out some new ones. I wanted something a bit interesting looking. It's fun as a palette cleanser on the painting table. It's fun as a palette cleanser on the gaming table as well. There's nothing wrong with having a bit of fun with it. But I'm still going to take the piss if you're running a Blood Angels Commander channel and showing me Black Templars.
Well, they're not Black Templars, though, are they? There's Templars of Blood, and we've been over this. So, I mean, well,
I think you should try something completely mental. Go, fuck it. Get rid of power armor. Think of an armor. Play GSC. What's the most different army you can have?
You paint me a GSC army and I'll play it. I'm going to play Templars of Blood.
I'm open now. My schedule is open.
I'm going to make a little video where I give myself some lore so that people don't think I'm dirty meta chaser, which I'm not anyway. But
Anybody who says you're a filthy meta chaser either is a tosser or doesn't know what they're on about.
But you're like the kind of guy that cheats on his wife with someone who looks exactly like his wife. But he's just 5 years younger. You know, if you're gonna do it, you might as well have fun with it. Go mental. You know,
dude, reading the 9th edition Black Templars Codex, I literally my jaw hit the floor. Like every page I turn over, I was like, "You could do what? You could do what?"
6 months younger, John, and you know things are 6 months more perky.
Hell, dude.
Right. In the words of Chewing the Fat, you've taken that too far.
All right. So, Pile of Glory.
Yeah.
I'm not even drunk, but
Tony, back to whipping.
Yeah. I'm quite proud of that analogy. I'm going to keep that.
Please God, just vote against this underside of the
tag thing. This is what happens
thing.
when you don't let me have a script.
I think we ought to do this more often.
We'll just have fun with it and see where it goes.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. We'll do this again next week.
Right. Let me just get this up then.
If you're only 6 months younger, then you might have a quicker time.
I reckon it'll be a one little dalliance. He'll feel bad about it, and then he'll come crawling back with a bunch of flowers and all the sorries.
Well, it just gives me another option. So if that's all it's going to give me.
Yeah, just make sure they never meet.
Oh God. When we finally do our road trip and go and visit John, we'll just everybody take their armies and none of us take Blood Angels, and it'll be silly.
Yeah, I mean, when you guys come and visit, it's now a fucking grudge match between me and Tony, by the way. And that is the first game, and
God.
Regardless, I'll rematch you with my Thunderhawk.
We've got to have at least 3 games, if not possibly 4.
But just so you know, Tony, you're being tabled. There's no ifs, there's no
I'm
buts.
going to bring Grey Knights just so I can give you PTSD. To see if you forget how to screen again.
Oh, God.
Right, so, Pile of Glory. Can you guys see that, all right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Hold on. Glory spelled wrong.
Rules episodes.pptx. Okay.
Glory spelled wrong.
Yeah.
Shut up. Shush you. Shush you.
Only an inside joke for only our hardcore followers.
Oh, yeah.
You know who you are. Thanks for watching.
In addition to the actual, more important one that we talked about already for the community post, we are going to put up a community post asking for ideas for our Patreon because at the moment the rewards are, aren't they?
No, you're supporting us.
You do need some. I'm not sure what people want.
Yeah.
I mean, OnlyFans. Mark said he'd be up for it.
You really do need a script.
What have you been doing, John? Or whatever we already know.
A Land Raider, yeah. A Land Raider Crusader and Terminators. Because apparently,
the progress he's made.
Apparently Black Templars...
He's just about finished the Terminators just in time to switch chapters.
Is that a Terminator with a Primaris helmet? Fucking hell.
Yeah, I actually need
to
paint...
thought this through, you'd have got a Terminator with a heavy flamer and you just lined it up on that book so it looks like it's coming out.
That would have been better, wouldn't it? I actually need to paint 3 more Terminators, right? A Terminator Chaplain and another Thunder Hammer, another Lightning Claw guy. So, if you were bored of seeing me paint Terminators on the Blood Angels Commander channel, well...
It's been 86 years.
Strap
have
yourself in.
Have you got the Space Hulk set?
I do not, but I have a bunch of the Space Marine heroes.
Okay.
So that's what...
They are very pretty.
I think one of them in that is a Space Marine hero. And also, a bunch of mine have the... for a little while there, Forge World were doing Blood Angels Terminator shoulder pads.
Yeah,
when I came back to the hobby, and I got 1 set of them, and then for whatever reason they discontinued them.
I'm really sad they stopped selling them because they were really nice.
I would love another set. I even converted some of my Blade Guard veterans and ripped their shoulder pads off to do to give them those Blood Angels shoulder pads.
Well, the Terminator shoulder pad size are the same size as the Gravis ones, aren't they?
Not far off. They need a little bit of fettling and machining and knifing, but you can get them to fit all right.
Yeah, so
because there's that proper Blood Angels Gravis pad that comes in one of the upgrade sprues.
Yeah, but
and I've used that.
Yeah. So Terminators. This
I'll tell you
Land
what, I'm
Raider.
glad to see the Crusader because Land Raiders are cool.
I'm so sad that the fact that Black Templars can just disembark and charge from a Crusader is so
Everybody used to be able to do that from all Land Raiders, hence the giant fucking assault ramp at the front.
cool. Yeah. Did you notice that mine's not even glued? You can open it. Yeah.
I don't do moving parts. I glue them all.
Oh yeah, because I mean, if you moved it, then maybe people would see and arsed yourself to paint the bottom.
I haven't. I'm going to paint some of the. I've left the Thunderhawk opening, but I have glued it because originally I was thinking, I'm going to open it up and put LED. I ain't going to do that, so fuck it.
Well,
I've
put
taken
the
the
LED
canopy off, you
inside.
can see there,
little-
and you'll
little
open the
light
front and I'll
outside.
dry brush it a bit.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, that's what I've been working on, and that's what I'm going to be
Those
working on.
Terminators are looking really nice,
They do.
Oh,
look really
thank
cool.
you. They're getting there.
and I'm looking forward to seeing the Crusader just because it's cool.
Yeah, me too. It's too long since Blood Angels have been able to run armor. I guess that's one thing to say.
I think it's not Blood Angels, is that vehicles have had a real hard time of it for a while now. Ever since Core came in and they just lost all the ability to benefit from it, vehicles have been.
I know invulnerable saves really kill Space Marine vehicles, in my opinion.
I mean, there's arguments of how you could fix that. Maybe more wounds. Maybe bring back the whole weaker guns can't hurt them. I'm not sure, if I'm honest, what the best solution is. Because a points cost feels wrong. 70-point Predators meant they were good, but they didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm. So what?
Would you not just spamming them?
Would you be okay with a damage reduction 1 can take damage down to 0?
Well, that's an interesting thought. I've never heard that before.
Bolters and lasguns and whatnot just bounce off a tank.
Do you guys remember the lucky glancing hits rule?
Oh, from armor values and shit.
Yeah, so what they did was, because that became a problem, because you could end up very quickly, what you'd do in your games was you'd take your tank and you'd shoot out all of their anti-tank and then you'd be invulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
They introduced the lucky glancing hit rule, which meant that it was fucking unlikely, but you could theoretically kill it with Aslan.
And anything can die to anything, which was a selling point of taking away from armor values and putting everything in.
I would argue that maybe just upping the wounds by a shit ton. I think they've got this weird cap of toughness 8 is the maximum toughness, and it's really condensed everything down. So removing that a little bit, but everything can wound on a 6 still, meaning that more things are going to be wounding on 6s, and maybe upping the wounds a bit to give anti-tank guns higher damage and have more of a variety between the low damage and the high damage stuff might be enough to start seeing them back in. I don't think Core's that big a deal. It's just when you look at it and you go, but I could have a Dreadnought with Core and -1 damage for the same points.
Core affects offensive power, and what you're talking about affects defensive power. So,
so I think then you've got more of a niche. You know, your tanks maybe aren't quite as killy as Dreadnoughts, but they are a bit tougher. And it's kind of like, what do you want from it? But I don't want to go back to a day, to be honest, where you can't kill it.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I remember when I first played it was 2nd edition, and someone rocked up with a Land Raider, and you only had Marines. You had that one missile launcher.
Yeah.
And they killed that, and then you were fucked.
You were fucked, yeah.
And that's not fun. So I do think they can, but I do think the wounds are too compressed, and I think the toughness is too compressed. I think like Land Raiders and Super Heavy should be toughness 9, you know, and going up, and then that starts. Because if you think, go back to 3rd edition, a las cannon was strength 9, your armor value was 14. That means you could wound it on a 5.
Yeah, and the other thing to say is like a lot of the other armies got, like if you look at like storm surges and stuff, and maybe even some of the new night rules that have leaked, they've been given a shitload more wounds, right?
Yeah, they have, which is good.
But at the same time, does that not just mean by default maybe Land Raiders should be 20 wounds or something?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Just bump up the wounds a little bit. Maybe
we'll probably see this sort of upstatting.
I think that would kind of just spread them out a little bit more to make them a bit more viable. I think would make a big difference. Yeah, bright lances and dark lances used to have the rule they would always wound on a 4+. They could never wound. That was their thing. Yeah. They were only strength 8, but they would never wound on worse than a 4+.
They'd always treat your armor as if it was maximum armor 12.
Which meant that they had a bit of a niche because they were weaker against lighter stuff, but stronger against heavy. And it's quite a clever little way of doing it.
Okay.
Cool. Well, I hope you enjoy your Black Templars, John. We'll follow it how it goes.
Yeah, and
I did make you a new logo. You saw the new logo.
you did superimpose the Black Templars over. Are you going to show it in the slide? If you're not showing
I haven't
it, you can
actually, and I wish I had. I wonder if I can find it. But yeah,
Okay.
so we did make you. The important thing to take away from that new logo, John, was that I took away 2 of your stars
I saw that.
because you don't deserve them.
You're a real meanie when you want to be. You know that.
Yeah.
You are being a bit bitchy. It's true.
It's
very funny.
You're lucky that I like you.
Actually, I'll tell you what. Let me.
Oh, he's gonna show the logo he made for. Great.
I am going to show you the logo that I made for you. Because I think it's better.
What I'm looking forward to is when John gets the memo back to start and real take the piss out of Tony.
No,
and you're like,
you only deserve 1 star.
Yeah, I saw you took away 2 of my stars. Yeah, thanks.
Black
It's like Angry
Templars
Birds. You
commander.
just about passed, but not well enough.
Okay.
Let's go back to the.
The Diet Coke of evil light, not quite evil enough.
What's that from? Is that Doctor Evil?
Yeah,
Man, I've not seen Austin Powers in so long.
That was a great film.
it's not aged well. It's funny, but it's a real
It's
shit
not.
movie these days.
Yeah.
Still
Right,
like
let's
the-
move on then. Mark, you've been busy for the last few weeks as we haven't seen you. What have you been doing?
I've been on holiday. I went away to a Warhammer 40,000 live roleplay event in Scotland for a weekend, and that's me with a hammer on the right hand side there.
You look very intense in that picture.
Yeah, I'm playing an ecclesiarchy member, a priest of the Thunderhammer, going around fucking beating people up for not being faithful or something like that. I don't know, whatever it was. It's great.
I also it took me a minute to find you in that picture on the top left.
Yeah, right at the back there, right at the
It's
very
just
back.
like a real facial expression of just pure joy.
Yeah.
Oh.
They got some pictures of me felling some people with the hammers as well. You got these people with you got an orc there with a big gun Daka thing. You got a minigun. You've got a heavy bolter converted out of a Nerf blaster underslung thing. You got this guy with a storm shield. You've got a guy with a sculpted latex Kroot long rifle kicking around in there as well somewhere. You got a little Tau rifle in the middle of that picture. And the one in the purple in the bottom left is a little scene that the guys were doing for a mate of mine who's playing a former Inquisitor turned rogue trader being interviewed by the fucking ruinous powers for something.
Social media.
Yeah, he didn't tell us what it was because he wouldn't tell us what it was. But
Well, they needed like a community manager. So
yeah,
to pop up their image.
yeah. You got Nurgle, you got Slanesh, then you've got Tzeentch, and you got Khorne.
Slanesh has got a good image, but Nurgle's is just shit.
That's because you can't see his face. He had some really cool face makeup on in that, to make him clearly Nurgle. But yeah, that was a great time. It was a fucking brilliant weekend. And then I went off to the Netherlands for a week and a half to get shit faced and play board games with a bunch of my WoW guildies in a villa, and it was great. Loved it.
It was fun. So tell us a bit about your costume or your Thunderhammer, because
the big grey robe was made by my wife. She got a patent for it. It was based on the sort of big roby cloaky thing that they used in the Equilibrium movie that
Film.
Christian Bale was in.
Yeah,
It's that sort of
Gun
that
Carter.
sort of thing. Yeah, exactly right. So that's a very sort of religious kind of robe for it. So I've got one of those in grey. She sewed it all up and made it. It's got this lovely silky white lining. Thunderhammer is injection molded latex over a core. Then you got some purity seals just belted on there to go, yeah, I'm faithful. Absolutely. Look at me.
Nothing says faith like purity seals.
Damn right. So yeah, it was good. I got a good bunch of people I was playing with, a Rogue Traders crew.
So was it like a weekend long kind of thing in character, or was it specific? Because I play a lot of Airsoft, and that's a lot of like the game. They do bigger events, but game, and then you
so time in
game and you're back out.
Timing when you're supposed to be in your character is between 10 a.m. to probably about midnight, 1 a.m. give or take. Then you've got get fucking smashed time and sleep time for those who want to sleep and those who want to get fucking smashed. And between then, you're basically playing your character the entire time, and it's great escapism, great fun. It's one of the reasons why I know so much about 40k lore, or one of the things that lets me channel how I know so much about 40k lore into all this sort of universe. And
do you remember when we were at Warhammer World and we saw the guys from Wrath and Glory?
Forgot about it totally.
I really want to play that now. Talking of Warhammer lore, because I used to play Rogue Trader in that because I like a bit of tabletop role playing stuff. But I really fancy Wrath and Glory now. After talking to those guys, they seem so passionate about it.
You're definitely on the sell it to me guys kind of side.
Yeah, and they were selling it to me. I'm not going to lie, that was really starting to speak to me. That. Although as long as somebody else can DM, I'm fed up with DMing. It's too much work. You think I don't cope well when there's no script for this? You should see how bad I am when my fucking parties start wandering off and doing whatever weird shit they do with D&D. I do not cope well.
All right. Well, so yeah, there you go. That's what I've been up to the last 2 weeks.
Looks like a lot of fun.
And did you get a chance to look at our Custodes video from last week?
I got several chances that I did not take in favour of beating people with a hammer, or getting drunk, or playing Battlestar Galactica, or any number of other things I've been doing.
Is it because you don't give a shit about the Emperor's Goldenest bananas?
That, I will not lie, that is a large part of it. Yeah. My level of fucks given is very, very minimal, I must confess.
Well,
and the next LARP is mid-May, so I'll be on holiday again around.
Where are you going for that one?
Same place, same location, but I'll be crewing this one. Yeah. I'll be NPCing the one that we're doing in May. And the concept behind the one in May is a fucking brilliant concept. The idea is that we're all rogue traders beyond the line of the Astronomicon, so we're outside the border of the Imperium. We're deputized to go out there and steal shit and stamp the Imperial flag in it in the name of the Emperor.
Yep.
And the concept is there's this giant, great floating casino out in space being run by some fucking space mobster. And all the player groups have been sent there to go and rob the fucking place blind. And you're going to do little adventures and mini sort of linears to line up how they're going to do the grand heist, which will be the big closing event on the Sunday morning. And just get it all sort of prepped and do all the legwork. And
so as you're an NPC, does that mean that you're running the casino?
I'm not going to be running casino. I'm going to be one of the flunkies for the guy running the casino, and all the various mooks that they beat up along the way, and all this sort of stuff.
Quality flunkyism.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty fun.
That sounds awesome. I'd love to do it. It sounds wicked.
It's great. It's great fun. I've known these people who I do all this stuff with for so many years now.
I absolutely can't see my wife
at least 20, 25 years. Oh, that Thunderhammer. Loved it.
Love it.
So good.
I want a big old power sword. Because they're cool.
All right. If I come around visiting you again, I'll bring you a LARP weapon.
I'd love it. I'd like to have a go, actually. Genuinely.
You
I think it'd be wicked.
You can have,
I've said before that I play a bit of airsoft and that, which is basically
blue-bladed power
modern
sword.
Military LARP.
There you go.
I would be very grateful. I'd have a lot of fun with that. But yeah, I like a little bit of silliness. I've got two. I'm not going to wave them around because we'll get demonetized. Not that we've ever monetized, but I've got loads of various shitty airsoft.
Life is boring. The more serious you take it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another pastime that's ruined by becoming a professional sport. We don't need airsoft. Doesn't need professionals either.
Okay, all right.
Keep the professionals out of pastimes.
Let's not go into this because we'll be on it for another hour or so.
Yep.
I imagine.
Right. Okay. Last slide is my shit.
I met my wife through live roleplay.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, sorry.
There we go. I met mine through the Icelandic volcano. Okay, so this is the stuff that I've painted. I actually painted something. I know, mental. So
have you seen these in the picture you showed us earlier?
You did, yeah, but this is actually what I did in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
So in the last couple of weeks, I finished off the towel. I was flocking those fuckers a couple of days ago at midnight.
I'll bet you were. As long as you cleaned up after yourself.
Yeah, I still haven't. I'm finding flock in all sorts of places. So
flock
what is
anywhere you like, just clean it up afterwards.
There's also no political statement with the colour of the flowers. Someone was like, "You're making flags." I was like, "What?" Anyway, no. So what was that? That's 5 fire warriors, 5 breachers, a couple of storm surges, a broadside, and then there's a tower commander there. Now, the guy wanted an onager gauntlet, and I just couldn't find something that looked good. So I made him an onager hammer instead. So I just thought, fuck it, and I've made him a fuck off great big thunder hammer.
I like the thunder hammer.
Out of a Nemesis Dread Knight hammer.
I did. Because it's about the right size. It lined up quite nice. The hand for a Nemesis Dread Knight and the hand for a Tower Commander are almost exactly the same size. So a little bit of green stuff.
Get rid of all the over Imperial iconography.
Get rid of all the over Imperial icons. And I just sort of had it in my head that Tau sort of, they make a big deal out of like reverse engineering and improving things. So they're like, they see these big old Dread Knights and that smashing things with a giant hammer, and it's like, oh, we can do better. And they just sort of like make it without all the Imperial shit.
Is the guy cool with it?
Sorry?
The guy who owns the model, is he cool with it?
He likes it.
He's happy with it.
He said he was happy with that. I showed him I mocked it up, with putty and that before And I said, look, this is what I'm thinking to build for you.
Fair enough. I like the colours on the Storm Talon. That's
and then because I wanted something for myself, I finished my little Storm Talon.
What did you do with the plastic? Like, you sprayed it? How's it that blue? Because it definitely doesn't come that blue, right?
So it doesn't. It comes clear. I don't know when you can see it on the. Drop something. So
I imagine you could contrast paint it to sort of tint it.
You can, but it comes out really blotchy if you do that.
Okay.
So what I've actually used, if you can see on the camera, is this. Now this is Tamiya clear paint. It's a little bit complicated because you've got to use a special thinner, which is that one, and you thin it down hugely, and then you paint very, very thin layers. So I use the airbrush there, so it's on the inside, and you just slowly build up that blue until you get the kind of depth you wanted. And then the inside, you can't really see in the picture, but I painted the guy inside with metallics and really extreme, ridiculous contrast, so that when the light goes through the canopy and hits him, you can still see the detail on that, because I didn't want to lose that detail.
All right.
It's the same technique I used to build up for my librarians and that, because I wanted them to look a bit weird. But it works quite well. And because I think the clear canopy looks a bit boring.
Yeah, I mean...
No, it's a good look, dude.
So just build up layers of the clear blue. And that works. You've got to be really careful, because if you don't completely dry each layer, it starts to pull. And then you get tide marks, and that's what the problem with contrast does that as well.
Nobody likes
it's designed to pull together. It starts to bind up and go all a bit funky if you try and do that.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so that's that. That's my normal basing that I did on it, because I've got all my Blood Angels are kind of sort of Baal bases.
I like it.
In my experience, Blood Angels tend to go one of two different ways of their bases. I mean, this isn't universal, because obviously John does his with this nice sort of greeny grass sort of colour, but they either sort of go deserty browns for the sort of Baal look, or they go for a kind of an urban grey, because it contrasts well with the red.
And let's be honest, Astra Granite is really good, because you slop it on and call it a day.
Yeah.
I use I don't go green, man. I go
You Terminators earlier. You showed us earlier with green.
They're just another black.
They're not. Hang on, let me roll it back. Look.
Were they?
There they are. Is that sort of like dirty, urban-y shit?
Yeah, Armageddon dust.
Maybe it's just coloration.
It's just the lighting, I guess.
Yeah,
no, I use Armageddon dust for all mine. Again, I think it's very, it's easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
I use sand, and then I sort of do a bit of a gradient with a few different paints going from dark to light.
Fair enough.
But it looks a bit funny on that, because I was trying to cover up the weird, because it's got that extra wide base stand thing on it.
Yeah.
I was trying to sort of like make that more of a ridge line on the.
I see.
Yeah, so that was what I did.
Cool.
Nice.
Hazard stripes, because I love them.
Yeah, I actually dig the hazard stripes. I know Mark's not a fan, but I dig them.
They seem hazard stripes to me belong on Iron Warriors models, and they don't really belong anywhere. Or maybe Admech, and I don't really feel they belong anywhere else. That's just me.
I believe they belonged in 2nd edition, which is where I'm still stuck.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
more power to you.
It's the same with the extra bright red that I use for all my Blood Angels. And...
I don't need any more ammunition to take the piss out of you with. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm old. Okay, and I think that's it. Actually, that's just our normal thing. We're going to try and get some more art done at some point. I have spoken to the person who did this, and she was like, "I'll draw it, but you can colour it because I can't be asked."
Fair enough.
And
I find it
yeah,
hard to argue with that.
and I coloured this one, which is why the back nipples look so distinct.
Bad. They look bad. They don't look distinct.
I'm not an artist, all right. I'm a physicist. I'm not even a physicist. I'm a physics teacher.
Says the person who painted a lot of models.
Yeah, quantity, not quality.
Okay.
Anyway, let me stop that, and I'll bring our faces back.
Woohoo!
Look at that, talking heads again. You look quite professional when you're doing this, John. Whereas Mark and I haven't got anything techie in front of me at all. I've just got, shit and my ABC Warriors picture.
I want to get LEDs to stick to that whole unit behind me so that it gives like a contrast.
It's a proper.
I don't know if it'll look cool, but I see all the big YouTubers do it. They got fancy LEDs. So.
When we move house, and I'm going to have a slightly bigger office / studio, I'm going to make a proper background like Mark's, with all like the models and that, and I'm going to have lights in them and all this sort of thing.
Nice.
And normally I just use the green screen. I haven't today, but I normally use the green screen just so it covers up the fact that all I've got is yay far and then a wall with a picture of ABC Warriors on it.
It's all good.
One day.
Okay,
I mean, I think it worked well tonight without a script. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the audience can tell us.
Yeah.
So,
what do you think?
I think we're wrapping this up, aren't we?
Let us know.
Let us know in the comments below how
If you prefer
badly
this more sort
you
of
prefer us to have a script,
riffing on,
or at least a vague plan. And click like and subscribe, and then the little bell icon if you want.
Yeah, because
Share this video with people, or share the better videos with people. Someone said earlier, do you share on Reddit? It's like, I don't know how to use Reddit.
I sometimes share them on Reddit, and I suppose the other thing you can do is if you are new here, then we are now about 10 episodes in. So
we are, yeah. Check out some of our other stuff. It's better planned, and we talk about things that might benefit you.
We do have a playlist on the channel with all the podcast episodes, so you can check that out as well.
Yeah.
Mark's Eldar episode was particularly informative.
Really?
Yeah, because it was actually quite well thought out, whereas I just like, everything's awesome.
Fair
and
enough.
I'm still quite proud that nobody seemed to like it. I think it's one of our lowest watched videos of the massive OP watch bullshit episode I did of 2021.
Which is surprising because everybody likes drama, so you'd think that people would want to watch that video.
That's just 2 hours of me going, look at this mental shit.
Woohoo.
I mean, the OP list of 2022 will be interesting as well, won't it?
It will be. We need to start thinking about that.
No, we don't.
We've got ages away.
It's fucking April.
Is it still the Falchion? Because the Falchion still hasn't lost a game in 2022.
Hasn't played a game in 2022.
More importantly, hasn't lost a game in 2022.
I was going to say maybe
it's all about how you spin it.
Yeah, bring the falchion back. Bring back the super heavy guy.
We're getting plastic squats. Anything can happen at this rate. So, yeah, whatever.
We can't use the term it's been squatted anymore.
We can, but, well.
It won't make any sense. It just means disappearing for a long time, pretending it didn't exist, then bringing it back to big fanfare.
Yeah, and still not explaining why we didn't do it for 20 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Good evening.
Bye.
Doodles.